Lesson 29 is multiplying fractions and reducing fractions by dividing by common factors. So, the question asks, what fraction is 1/2 of 3/4? So, notice on here that if you're talking about that is their 3/4, they want to know what half of that is, which comes out to be this darker purple shaded area. Remember, the word of means to multiply in math. So what we're going to do is do 1/2 times 3/4. When multiplying fractions, it's very simple. All we're going to do is we're going to multiply the top numbers together, multiply the bottom numbers together, and then we'll have to reduce if our answer can reduce. But we're just multiplying the top, and then we're multiplying the bottom. Whatever's on the top stays on top, whatever's on the bottom stays on the bottom. So 1/2 of 3/4 is going to be 3/8. So next example says multiply 3/4 times 2/3. So let's multiply the top. 3 times 2 is 6. Bottom, 4 times 3 is 12. Now, 6/12. One, we know we can reduce it because they're both even. So we could reduce it by dividing by 2. But another way is by a common factor in there. I know that 6 goes into both 6 and 12. So I'm going to divide both the top and the bottom by 6. If I do that, 6 divided by 6 is 1, 12 divided by 6 is 2. My answer is 1/2. Next example, it says multiply 4 times 2/3. When we have a whole number and we need to put it into a fraction, a whole number as a fraction is always going to be that number over 1. So remember, the fraction mark can mean division, and 4 divided by 1 is still 4. So when we go to multiply, we're going to do 4 over 1 times 2/3. 4 times 2 is 8. 1 times 3 is 3. Now remember that we can just do division to figure out our mixed number. So we do 8 divided by 3. Well, 3 goes in there 2 times. I have 2 left over, so it's going to be 2 and 2/3. I know that's reduced. There's no common factors in there. My answer is 2 and 2/3. 3 pennies are placed side by side as shown below. The diameter of 1 penny is 3/4 inch. How long is the row of 3 pennies? Well, we could add 3/4 plus 3/4 plus 3/4. Get 3 plus 3, 6 plus 3 is 9. Now we keep the bottom the same. We can do our division. Get 2 1/4 inches. Another way to do this problem would be to take that 3/4 of an inch and multiply it by the 3 pennies that we have. Remember, 3 as a fraction is going to be 3 over 1. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 1 is 4. Since I did my division over here, I am just going to write that answer, and I get the same thing. So in this case, I could either do addition or multiplication, whatever you find easiest. Now back to reducing. Okay, here we need to reduce 8/12. I know that 8 doesn't go into 12, so that's not going to be very simple. But I know it can be reduced because they're both even. The first thing you should always do to see if you can reduce is, does the top number go into the bottom number? In this case, it doesn't. Now, I could reduce by dividing by 2. And if I divide 8 by 2, I'd get 4. 12 by 2, I'd get 6. but they're still both even. So I'm going to have to keep going until that's not the case. Here, 2/3 would work. Another way I could do this, if I have my 8/12, I know that 4 goes into both of those numbers. So I'm going to divide both the top by 4 and the bottom by 4. And I'll still get the same thing. And then I'm skipping that step right there. So if you know that a number goes into both numbers, divide by that and get it reduced so that there's less steps to do. Now, just because one number's odd and one number's even isn't going to mean that it can't be reduced. An example would be like 9/12. Okay, top's odd, bottom's even. I know 2 is not going to go into it, but I do know that that can be reduced because 3 can go into both the 9 and the 12. So if I divide 9 by 3, I get 3. 12 by 3, I get 4. Now I know that's a reduced fraction. Let's go to the next example. So we'll do 2/1 times 5/12. 2 times 5 is 10. 1 times 12 is 12. Okay, I see they're both even, so I know I can reduce. 10 can't go into 12. Well, and I know the only factors of 10 are 1, 2, 5, and 10. And the only factor that works is 2. So we're going to divide both of these by 2. I'd get 5, 6. I know that's reduced. Okay, because there's no factors that are common with 5 and 6. Going back to ratios. There were 8 boys and 12 girls in the class. What was the ratio of boys to girls in the class? Well, they want boys first, so when we do 8, they have 12 girls, boys to girls. Remember when we first talked about ratios, I stated that we need to reduce ratios just as we do fractions. So 8/12 needs to be reduced. Okay? Talked about in the example before how 4 went into both 8 and 12, so I'm going to divide by 4. And I should get 2 to 3. Okay. I don't need a label on that because we're talking about ratio, it says what we want. Okay, so in this case, the 8 boys and 12 girls turns into 2 to 3 as my ratio. So go ahead and do the practice set. Make sure you do A, B, C, D, E, and F. Okay. There are 2 pages of this. You need to do G, H, I, and J as well. Don't forget to do them all. There is a good chance I am going to be checking tomorrow to make sure that you have done your practice set and watched the video.